Hello, everyone. Hope you all are well. The Queen is here to discuss this debacle. Pull these off because I can't see with the reflection. Sorry about that. Pertaining to Bethany and Dylan, their text messages. We're going to go over this said information, so feel free to chime in the chat if you can. Try to get my lighting together. Sorry about that. It's a little bit peaked. My lighting, so sorry about that. Hope you all are well. Have a wonderful weekend. Once again, straightening, looking a little spaz out there. Been under the weather a little bit, so I was leery about going live. I don't want to get sick while on the live trying to talk and everything. Let's chop this up because there's a lot of information out here pertaining to these text messages, 911 call. Take the polls on my community page. Do you believe these young ladies helped the situation pertaining to their friends? Do you believe they helped? Do you believe they helped? I don't think they helped. Matter of fact, I think the situation of all this information that's come out has basically, I'm trying to straighten my shirt. You can see everything in these, in your reflection. This looks crooked to me. Sorry about that. Queen has not gone live, showing herself in a long time, so it just feels weird looking back at myself. But anyway, I'm going to play Court TV. We're going to play some of their commentary, and then we'll go from there. Hello, Stillwater. Hello, thank you for joining me. Let's get down to business. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Andrew 129 Cash App, stickers and chats are welcome on the live stream. I don't think they helped their friends. Now, as I said before, great possibility these young people could not have been saved because of their injuries. But my thing is still, you feel that something is wrong. You hear something that is not right. You're calling these people. They're not answering their phones. The least you can do is, doubt 911. That's my personal opinion. So let's hear the opening statement from Court TV, and then we're going to go to Vinnie Politan.
From the roommate's call, or phone, excuse me. And we're not going to divulge who made that call.
They came here together. They eventually get into the same apartment together.
Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You are here.
Oh, and ice cream noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I know I talk about myself a lot, but what would you guys do in my situation?
And in the end, they died together.
Newly revealed text messages from the night those four beautiful University of Idaho students were murdered. The chilling words from the surviving housemates. This is we're inching closer to the trial of Brian Koberger. And new allegations against embattled pastor John Paul Miller, the widower of Micah Miller, cleared in her death, but now being accused of assaulting underage girls. Also this hour, we're being a voice for victims in the case of Madeline Soto. There's a huge document dump revealing sickening evidence against alleged predator and her mother's boyfriend, Stephen Stearns. Plus, infamous true crime defendants are facing off. Gypsy Rose Blanchard now calling out Casey Anthony. It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements.
Floor and Decor's free design services have your back.
Sorry about that. I don't know they're going to be doing those commercials. 1 second, everybody. Hold on.
Our expert.
It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. TGIF, and welcome to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. Are you ready for some coffee and some court to end the work week? We have a tremendous show planned, so let's get started. Grab that coffee right now. It's time for my opening statement. We should feel safest in our own home. The home is sacrosanct. In the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, 4 students sleeping inside of 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, had their privacy violated in the worst imaginable way. Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were slaughtered by a male intruder. Some bold, brazen, evil killer came into their sacrosanct place to do them harm. And for the two housemates who were left unharmed, their text messages are showing us just how terrified they were. They weren't sure what was happening, but they were scared to death knowing that a masked man was inside of their home.
Sorry.
And their housemates weren't responding to their calls or their texts. Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk were messaging each other saying things like, "No one is answering. I'm freaking out right now. I'm not kidding. I'm so freaked out. So am I. Come to my room. Run." It is eerie seeing their messages.
Excuse me.
But I tell you what, nothing compares to the horror that they felt when they learned their friends weren't responding because they were murdered. They live with that horror every day of their lives, and sadly, so does everyone who loved Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan so dearly. So this morning, I say, may they all continue to heal. And may that evil intruder who took their lives receive the harshest punishment that the law allows. That's my opening statement. Let me know if you like it. Right now, it's time for your date.
All right. What do you all think about the latest information that has come out from the documents pertaining to the text messages between Dylan and Bethany? What do you think? How do you feel about these two now that you have a little bit more information than you had 2 or so years ago? Let me know. Do you feel like they aided their friends, helped their friends? I don't think so. No, that's just my personal opinion. I don't think they aided their friends at all. Okay, we're going to go to Vinnie Politan. Also, we're going to talk about Gypsy Rose and Casey Anthony at the end of the commentary as well. I didn't put that in the title, but I'll go ahead and discuss it while I'm live. Thank you for joining me. I'm also going to bring you an update pertaining to the Pontiac, Michigan mother. Her bond has been reduced from $250 million cash to $50,000. Today, that was the rendering in court for Kelly Bryant, who abandoned 3 of her children. She's facing 3 first-degree child abuse charges. First-degree child abuse against 3 of her children. She left in a condo. And today in court, the bond was reduced to $50,000 cash only. Okay? Cash only. So it went from $250 million to $50,000 cash. So, I mentioned this to you guys earlier in the week, like, okay, what's going to be the amount that the judge will set the reduce the bond to? Now you know it went from $250 million to $50,000 cash, which is crazy as hell. But anyway, that's the latest. Here are my polls, and then we'll get into Vinnie Politan. Give me your thoughts pertaining to the text between Dylan and Bethany. November 13, 2022. 44% of you said they didn't help their friends. 44% of you also said they were fearful and confused. 13% of you said you're not sure, you're on the fence. Once again, Gypsy Rose has decided to come out and speak. She has called out Casey Anthony pertaining to Casey Anthony wanting to be a legal advocate. Do you think she should have spoken out against Casey Anthony? Gypsy Rose. 13% of you said yes, she did the right thing. 69% of you said no. 0% of you are on the fence, and 19% of you don't care. Casey Anthony wants to be a legal advocate. Yes, 0%. Hell no, 100%. On the fence, 0%. Don't care. 0% out of 30 votes. At the end of this commentary, I'm going to play Gypsy Rose's commentary and Casey Anthony. But right now, we're going to get down to business pertaining to this new DNA under Maddie Mogan's fingers. 3 different DNA. The wrangling between the defense attorney and the state about this evidence being, entered in, text messages being entered in as hearsay. Defense don't want it in. Vinnie Politan gives his commentary. Very good piece, too, by Vinnie Politan. He does a good job. So we're going to break it up in segments, and we're going to discuss what was said, okay?
I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of my investigation, the horrific, unprovoked, cold-blooded murders of 4 innocent students at the University of Idaho. It's the biggest true crime case in America, and the...
Still Waters, what are you saying down there? Hold on. I'm trying to get my lighting together. This is poor lighting, so please forgive me. What are you saying? They should not put the wrong person to death over this. Well, who do you think killed them? Help me understand. I'm going to have to elevate this. Hold on a minute, everybody, because I'm having a hard time with this lighting in here. She is not working for some reason. I don't know why when I go live, I just cannot get the lighting situated. So who do you think killed the kids? Help me understand. Who do you think killed the kids? You say you've been suspicious since moment one. Why? As I told Buffalo Mountain last night, they have not shown us any evidence that any of these kids know him. They're dead, so we just use past tense. Counting the girls' present tense. They don't know him. He didn't know them. They've already shown us that. Day one. They didn't know each other. So who is it that you think killed him? Help me understand. The Greek life. Okay, well then how does Kohlberger DNA get on the sheath if the Greek? Some frat boys got together, decided to kill these kids. Then how does Brian Kohlberger fit into this? Why would his DNA be all the way in a state over 15 minutes away? Just asking. Because you got to make it make sense. This is the reason why I never pointed fingers at anybody in the beginning, because there were too many people involved as far as death. 4 people dead, 4 different sets of friends, associates, interactions with people. So that's why I never pointed the finger at anybody at that campus. Boyfriends, girlfriends, exes, none of that, because there was just too many people dead. But how are you going to explain this man who don't even go to the school, his DNA on a sheath next to a dead person? Make it make sense. So far, they haven't even linked him to anybody at the school, besides the girls, but other students, associates, professors, teachers. He's 15 minutes away, which is not far. It's just a hop and skip down the road. Cross over, another state. Explain how his DNA would be on a sheath. When he does not know these kids, they don't know him. I'm not positive he's 100% innocent. That's for sure. Okay, but you got to make it make sense, because you're going from him to these other kids. So when you say Greek life, he's not a part of Greek life. He's 8 years older than these kids. 6 to 8 years older than them at the time. So he's not even in the same age bracket to be hanging with any of these kids that died at the house. Bethany, Dylan, and anybody at the school, 20 years old, 19, whatever. He was too old. So you got to make it make sense. Nobody knows him. And to this day, you haven't heard one person from Idaho come forward to say, yeah, I'm friends with Brian Kohlberger. Yeah, I hung out with him, and we hung out with some of those kids that died at that house. Oh, yeah, we hung with some people that knew the kids that died at the house. You don't have any of that. Now, one person has come forward to say they know him from Idaho, from the University of Idaho. Don't you find that strange? if he was lingering about the campus and fraternizing with some young people, somebody by now would have told us, oh yeah, we hung out. He came to my apartment. We went out to eat. We bowled. It got on a sheet because it belonged to him. That's how it got on there. No kids at that school didn't hurt these kids.
The biggest trial on our docket at Court TV. Here's the story. On November 13th, 2022, 4 University of Idaho students, Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan, were brutally stabbed to death at their off-campus home in Moscow.
How are you going to frame somebody you don't know? You all throw out stuff that don't make no sense. The police don't know they're going to a homicide times 4. That's first and foremost. So the police can't frame somebody that they don't know. He's not somebody that's been wanted in the area doing mischievous things. It's not, once again, it's not from Idaho. He's a needle in a haystack at that time. So how is somebody going to frame somebody that don't nobody know? That don't make no sense. That's unheard of. You can't frame somebody that you don't even know who they are. You can't. That don't even make logical sense. How are you going to frame somebody? Come on, y'all. Stop this bullshit, okay? Touch DNA like this. I'm a realist. I deal in the real world. I don't live on Mars. I don't live on Jupiter. I live here, right here, East Tennessee, Earth. And I know when a person is not even from the area, he's not even from the area. The rest is self-explanatory. He's not even from the area. He's not a local from Washington State. He wasn't a local from Idaho. So some random guy who's not even from that side of the universe, DNA is on a sheath belonging to a missing knife that they believe killed 4 people, and he's framed. That don't even make sense what you're saying. How the hell can you be framed when nobody knows who you are? They didn't even know who the perpetrator was. Evidence led them to him. Okay, let me make that clear. His car was spotted. That's first and foremost on CCTV footage. A cop in the area of the housing development where he lived spotted the car. That cop didn't know Korberger. Cop didn't know him from a can of paint. Just that, oh, they're looking for a white car, Elantra, in Moscow. And one thing begat another. And that's how they got to Mr. Korberger. Wow.
Idaho. The shocking crime left the college town in fear as authorities searched for the killer. After weeks of investigation, police arrested the suspect, a 28-year-old criminology PhD student at Washington State University. This suspect was linked to the crime through DNA evidence found on a knife sheath at the scene.
What happens when you take a love of sneakers,
Oh, they're going to show 50,000 commercials.
startup capital, you get debt
Never get to the point.
At the scene, cell phone records and surveillance footage of his white Hyundai Elantra near the victim's home. Prosecutors believe the suspect planned the attack, although the motive remains unclear. He's been charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and burglary and maintains his innocence. Both sides now are preparing for the trial, and more information is being made public about the evidence and circumstances surrounding this tragedy. Now, Now, one thing that you know about this case through the years, as we've been covering it, and other people have been covering it as well, so a lot of the information coming out is very limited about the evidence in the case. We got some early on with the arrest warrant, but since then, we've gotten little pieces from court hearings, and then when either of the parties file motions, sometimes there's information in there that's new information. Well, right now, we've got some of that new information, and this comes from a defense filing, right? So it's the suspect's attorneys who are filing this and making this information now public because they're looking for some relief. It's a motion to eliminate. They're trying to limit some of the evidence coming in. In grand jury testimony, Jade Miller testified as to the results of testing done on item Q13.1, a swab of the left fingernail clippings from Madison Mogan, one of the victims in this case. The data consisted of a 3-person mixture in the fingernails of Maddie. 3-person mixture. So now we've got DNA from different sources, which brings us to the first question in our investigation. And it's all about this DNA. What does this DNA prove? What does it show? What does it demonstrate? Got to get to the bottom of this. Joining me, former homicide detective, host of The Interview Room with Chris McDonough. Chris McDonough is with us, and laboratory director for Pure Gold Forensics. She has more than 20 years of experience in DNA analysis, forensic DNA expert. Joining us from a lab where she works, Susanna Ryan. Great to have you both here. Susanna, I want to begin with you. 3-person mixture. What does that mean? What are the challenges? What are the limitations? What can you get when you have a sample that is a 3-person mixture?
Well, a lot of that's going to depend upon the quality of the mixture. So it sounds like, we have Madison's DNA, which is not surprising, and then at least 2 other contributors. Now, looking at this motion, the fact that multiple individuals were listed as sort of inconclusive tells me there's probably not a whole lot of data available for comparison. So it's probably a low-level mixture. Now, that could mean that the DNA arrived just through casual contact. As a person goes about their day, they can pick up DNA under their fingernails or on their fingernails, or it could mean something more.
I want to go to more information that we have from this motion, which I think will explain a little bit here. The data from that sample was, and then they redact the word, as to the suspect, the accused killer. Miller testified that the redacted word there, we think this is the redacted word, inconclusive, right? So they say in the next sentence that Miller testified that inconclusive means that an analyst is blank, again, redacted. I'm taking from that the redacted word may very well be inconclusive. Miller went on to explain that the likelihood ratio for the suspect, and then that's redacted. The suspect's inconclusive LR likelihood ratio is similar to almost every other person for whom an LR was generated, and focusing on his inconclusive likelihood ratio would mislead the jury, in that it applies that LR means that the suspect's DNA might be present in the sample. More importantly, the suspect has disclosed that through further independent lab testing, he is eliminated as a contributor to item 13.1. Okay, Suzanne, a couple more questions to you, then I want to get to Chris. So the LR, the likelihood ratio, what is that? What's the significance of that?
That is the way that we do statistics currently, and it is basically a comparison of 2 mutually exclusive hypotheses. So one hypothesis would be what we call the prosecutor's hypothesis, which typically is that the person's included in the mixture, and that is compared to the defense hypothesis, which typically is that person is not in the mixture. And the likelihood ratio tells you which of those hypotheses is more likely. So in this case, when we have what they're calling an inconclusive range, they're saying, I can't tell you whether this person is included or excluded. However, I think one of the issues that the defense has with this is that there are recommendations, sort of the scientific working group on DNA analysis methods, they've come up with a number of recommendations. And basically they say no matter what the likelihood ratio is, whether it's a small number in support or a small number supporting exclusion, you should still report that number. Instead, this laboratory apparently has a pretty wide range of inconclusive.
So make this make sense to me. Now they're saying that the suspect, the accused, has disclosed that through further independent lab testing, he is eliminated as a contributor. How could a different test now have seemingly a different result that actually eliminates his as a contributor? Is this just an interpretation of results, or is there different testing that could have been done? How could that be?
I think that probably the independent lab retested the sample, and perhaps they were able to get a little bit more DNA from the sample. Perhaps their guidelines allow for them to eliminate a person at a certain less than 1 likelihood ratio versus this lab. So this independent lab may have done some additional testing, concentrated the sample, done something to be able to get a little bit better of a result where they can say he's excluded, instead of the Idaho laboratory, which they're saying inconclusive, but reading the motion, it probably should properly be said as support for exclusion. They probably were in a less than 1 likelihood ratio level, which is actually support for exclusion.
I want to intervene. So, 3-party DNA under Maddie's fingernail, left hand. Who does it belong to? Basically, I guess they're saying it's a low amount. It's not saying that it's Mr. Korberger. Well, like they say, you touch things all day long. You're around people, touching, hugging, kissing, whatever you're doing. I don't know what that girl was doing on that fateful day, the 12th, what she had been doing. When last time she had a shower, all that. We already know you're going to have dead skin cells. Even when you take a bath, shower, you're still touching this and that. You're hanging with people. She's hanging with different people that night with her friends, going out, having a good time, doing things, what young people do. So I'm not really worked up about the DNA, different DNA under her fingernails, because like they say, you're touching things all the time. You're touching this, hey, you're touching your own hair, you're doing all type of things when you're out and about. And then she worked at a restaurant. So, you got to think about all that hygienic wise. Young people, they're not into really washing their hands every 5 seconds. So come on, it don't matter to me, because this is how I look at it. More than likely, as far as whatever's at that house was at the house, he wore gloves. That's why there's no DNA in his car, all of that. He wore gloves, probably had a tarp in the car, all of that. I'm going to go ahead and say all of that. He had a tarp in the car, probably had a suit on. I don't know. But then what's weird about that, when you have wore booties for your shoes, because he left a latent footprint at Dylan's door, outside of her door, if that information is accurate. So what did he wear? Because the girl said all black. So then I had to tell myself, well, maybe he didn't wear no tarp or nothing on his clothing. One of the little zip-up suits you can just throw away. Because you got to get in your car afterwards and let his lawyer tell it in court. She's arguing, oh, there was nothing in his apartment. There was nothing in his car. So I have to think about all that as well. And it's not me thinking he didn't do it. It's just that he was crafty. He's savvy. He studied this, because this is what he did before being arrested. He studied criminals. So with studying criminals, you also study what they do, how they work, how they navigate, how to avoid detection. I say he did fairly well up until the touch DNA and naturally the car being seen stupidly, phone pinging at the house. You're there. You're seen and you're there. So you don't know these kids. You don't know nothing about them. Your latent footprint, touch DNA on a sheet shouldn't be nowhere in that house, period. Nothing belonging to you should be at that house. Free country to roam, drive. Nothing wrong with that. You go wherever you want. We do it all the time. You know why we do it all the time? Because, right, we're grown. And we're not expecting nobody to come knock on our door and talk about, hey, I want to talk to you about a crime over here 15 minutes away. Where you got to sit down and explain yourself and say why you was over in Moscow. Oh, I was just taking a drive. I was out bored. I do this sometimes. I ride around. Some people do this. But I don't think this was the case for Kornberger. Okay? So I ain't worried about this DNA under Maddie's fingernail. How do you all feel about the DNA? I already know how one of you thinks. But some of you just can't focus on the information that the people have gathered. The police, different agencies. I don't know what you all think these people do in their spare time. Like they're just sitting around sucking on lollipops while they're looking at dead people and going through their house eating, chocolate bonbons. Because that's how a lot of you act. Like these people didn't investigate the crime scene, didn't swab door handles and go through phones and datas and iPads and talk to eyewitnesses in the neighborhood and at their jobs and at the school. You just think what? Everybody was walking around sucking on lollipops with 4 dead kids. Oh, we'll let it solve itself. That's how you act when you act like you can't accept the findings. They got a whole lot more, I'm sure, on Kornberger. It ain't just no touch DNA. They already told you that we've got him at this house. So you can't explain that. Why do you think all of a sudden he comes up with the excuse he was stargazing? You never heard stargazing when he first was arrested for this crime. Stargazing was nowhere in the conversation. Remember that. Stargazing never came up late 22, December, January 23, okay? You ain't heard nothing about no damn stargazing. When the evidence started being revealed by the state, hey, we could put your client outside at 9:10 a.m. Hey, he's been to this house 10 times. Poof, all of a sudden you hear, I was stargazing. You got to pay attention to the information. See, the truth never changes. Okay? I'm woke. I know I wasn't there. I don't know those kids. I ain't never told my lawyer I knew him. My lawyer ain't never went to court to say I knew him. I ain't got no business over there at that school. I don't know nobody on the street. I don't know nobody in that house. Why would I wait months to a year or whatever that stargazing shit came out? Where would that come from? That came from him. Matter of fact, I believe that came out last year. That came from Kornberger because he knew the evidence showed he's been at that house and he couldn't refute it. So when you come to this playhouse, because this ain't King Road, when you come to this playhouse and you want to try to put it off on innocent kids at the school, you need to do your homework. Stargazing came from Kornberger's mouth, not Ann Taylor, not the butcher baker, candlestick maker, but from him, because he realized he was caught. So he has to come up with a reason to show why he's out in the middle of the morning, riding around in a whole nother state where he don't know a fucking soul. Did I clear that up?
Chris McDonough, let me ask you. So what does this DNA prove?
Vinny, obviously DNA evidence would put somebody at a crime scene. However, when there is an analysis like this that comes back, inconclusive, it means the results aren't necessarily clear cut. So from an investigative side, that could be from a couple of reasons. I mean, like a sample was too small, maybe it was, degraded, maybe it was mixed up with other DNA, like in this case. So you couldn't get a solid match. So basically, it's a shrug of the shoulders from the lab. And so as an investigator, you have to take that and say, okay, well, then we have to put that over here in the exclusionary column until we get some additional definitive evidence. And that's what they did by revealing it to the defense.
So, Susanna, the next question is, okay, if let's say he's excluded, or however we want to term it, right? It's interesting to hear it explained, because a jury's going to have to understand this. Is there a way to take those the two samples that aren't her, and to determine any information about the source of it, whether it's gender, race, or
Thank you, Rebecca.
identity?
You're welcome, sweetie. Thank you.
You may be able to tell gender.
Hello,
so
Tiffany.
there are a couple of different markers that we look at that are
You're welcome,
indicative
sweetheart.
of males. So they're specific to the male. So we know, obviously we have Maddie, a female. If any of those other markers that are specific to a male pop up, then they could say there's at least one male present. But that would be about it. We don't use the DNA that we do in the forensic lab to do any sort of, ethnicity or racial background or, hair or eye color, any of that. That's all completely separate. So that'd be the farthest we could go, is possibly saying that there's a male present.
And is there any other way to put it in a pool of potential people? Like, if you've got a sample like this, would you get enough information where you could run that information through CODIS, and you may not get like one hit, but you might get thousands of hits? Does it work like that, or it doesn't really work like that?
So the samples that are eligible for upload to CODIS they cannot be too much of a mixture because we don't want to have thousands of possible hits to go through. And again, kind of reading between the lines here, it sounds to me that the data is really low level and probably not eligible for CODIS. It's good for comparison to other potential persons of interest, but not for entry into CODIS.
All right, Susanna Ryan, I'm so glad that you're able to come on this program and help us explain this and help us understand this. Chris McDonough's going to stick around. Thanks so much, Susanna. Coming up.
Let's jump up a little bit.
It's a huge.
Want to skip around a little bit so we can bypass some of these ads.
It's a huge part of this case. It's the foundation of the prosecution case, the DNA that's found on the knife sheath. But it's not the only DNA. We've talked about this in the past. There's DNA on a railing inside the home of an unknown male. There's DNA of an unknown male on a glove that was found on the property outside.
Now, that glove that was found, is that the same glove that Chris McDonough and his wife found when they were out there in Mouse Cove? I'm saying it appropriately. Idaho. Is that the same glove, Mr. Vinnie Politan? Because I don't know if that glove has any relevance. Once again, DNA on the railing inside means nothing to me, just because they kept company. They kept people in their house. As I said to you guys days ago in my commentary, it's a recipe for disaster. Having a lot of people running in and out of a place. I don't care whose house it is. That's just Queen. That's me. I don't believe in a lot of foot traffic. As you see, you don't hear anybody in my background. There's nobody banging at the door. You don't hear people whispering in the background, talking, inside this domain. I don't rock like that. Like I said, everybody's different. Old habits die hard. These kids might take these same habits with them as adults, staying around a lot of people, keeping a lot of people around you. But you have to use deduction, no matter what your age is. When you have a lot of people coming in and out of a structure, anything can happen. And that's the one thing people don't think of, especially young people, because young people really don't use this thing here, in between the ears. They don't use it. You have to be careful of the company you keep. I talk about this all the time on this network. I've been saying this for coming up 6 years. You don't know people. You don't know your friends. I'm saying this about these kids. And I said it in the live last night. They are not kids I would want as my friends. I'm saying it. Because I don't want nobody to be responsible for getting me aid. And you freak out and wig out and you too scared to call 911, but you can call somebody downstairs and go on and on texting. So that's why I asked the question last night. How long were those girls texting? Because all that's going to come out in court. I'm trying to tell you. All that data from those phones are going to come out in court, and all their whole life is getting ready to be a replay. And they know that. And they probably don't want that to happen. Because it's going to be jacked up if we find out they were texting for hours. Or they finally, one ran downstairs and got in the bed with Bethany. You know, when she asking her, hey, come on, run. Another text message I saw today from NBC Morning Show. She's saying her phone was dying. Dylan. So you really can't keep using an excuse about being drunk. Now, can you? You're opening, closing doors. I have a problem with all of that. Right now, I'm playing you the information about the DNA on the Maddie's finger. That's the latest hot topic besides the text messages. But I'm stuck on this text message stuff. I'm more stuck on that than the DNA. The DNA stuff don't really bother me. Because I know they hung around a lot of people and fraternized with a lot of people before they were murdered. My problem are the text messages. Okay. Excuse me. All that. That shit is bothersome to me. Because this girl opening, closing doors, then is acting like you don't know what's going on. Man, I got a problem with all of that. She don't remember stuff. But yet you're texting somebody downstairs talking about ski mask and this and that. Then they were starting to talk about this bushy eyebrow stuff. Man, this shit is deeper than quicksand. This ain't good. Now, Mr. Gonsalves has spoken. And, you know, he's not, you know, being harsh on the girls because they were fearful. But it's still jacked up. Because these kids are dead and they were in this house with other people who are listening to this stuff unfold. And I've said this 1,000 times. Ain't no way in the still of the night you ain't hearing what somebody else is doing in no house. You can hear stuff. Water running, flushing toilet, walking across the floor. It's an old house. So, you know, floors creak. More than likely the floors are wooden. Probably didn't have carpet on them. Better pay attention. Because I'm woke. You can hear people talk. So you definitely can hear something, boom, bam, boom, you know, shuffling around. You can kill 4 people. There's no way I'm going to sit here and believe all of that, excuse me, was silent. 4 silent murders. Okay? Dylan was up for a reason because she heard noise. She told him to cut it out. So I want you to think about that. Who was she speaking to? The girls were horse playing. Xana's horse playing with Ethan. Their horse playing. She's telling them to stop it. Oh, was it because he was doing what he was doing, which was banging them around? So you don't know what he was doing in that house. You don't know how long he stood over the victims after stabbing them. Could have stood over to make sure they were dead. Stabbed them enough to make sure they're dead. Make sure they're not breathing. Could have been rummaging in their rooms. Looking for trophies, stuff to take, underwear, bras, I don't know, toothbrush. Hey, not a killer. But you best believe he wants something to take with him. Did that ever occur to anybody? And when he came back for the sheath for somebody that thinks somebody else did this. What the fuck is he doing back there at 9 in the morning? They can put him there. Let me guess. He was stargazing again? He was stargazing again. Make it make sense. You're back at this house that you just left. For what reason? Because he forgot something. He forgot the sheet. And who's to say I left 2 little birdies alive? You all better wake up. Oops, I fucked up. I left the sheath. I left 2 birdies. They might be able to identify me. And then we're hearing all this shit about eyebrows and shit with Dylan liking eyebrows. And this is even more creepy to me. I get it. Everybody's into different things. Some people like lips, noses. I'm not an artist, so I ain't drawing none of that because I'm not an artist. You understand what I'm saying? So I ain't drawing heads, stick figures, none of that because I can't draw. But somehow she's fascinated with the upper part of the face. How creepy is that? And then he's got the bushy eyebrows. Very weird. Happenstance? Believe what you want. Just saying it's creepy. This whole case is creepy. And I'm quite scared to see what the fuck August is going to bring. Because I believe somebody can put Korberger there visually. Because that audio from the house next door has her whimpering 50 feet from window to this person's front door. So if you can hear a person whimpering on audio, what goes with audio? Anybody listening? Visual. You can't have one without the other. You got her whimpering. You've got somebody coming and going out of that damn house. Checkmate. Nobody's going to have CCTV footage on their house without visual. Defeats the purpose. Bet there's a figure going in past that house, around to the side of that, to that damn door, that glass door, in all black. And bet you that figure came back out. As Dylan said, that person walked by me and passed me in that hallway, went through the kitchen, out the glass door, and bet you that video got a visual of him coming out of there. Not 4 or 5 frat brothers. 4 or 5 kids who just want to play funny games with their schoolmates. Stop the bullshit.
And now we're talking about Maddie's fingernail clippings. And you've got a mixture of the DNA from 3 sources, one of which is likely Maddie, but then you've got 2 other sources of DNA in all of this. And so the defense filed these motions to limit what the prosecution can say, but when you read it, you kind of take something else away from it. The suspect's inconclusive likelihood ratio is similar to almost every other person for whom a likely ratio was generated, and focusing on his inconclusive LR would mislead the jury and implies that the LR means that the suspect's DNA might be present in the sample. When the suspect sought to overturn the grand jury indictment, he argued that Miller's testimony was inadmissible and misleading. The state argued that the testimony, this is interesting, the testimony was presented to the grand jury as exculpatory and an effort to elicit favorable evidence for the suspect. The independent lab testing conducted by the defense related to this item is indeed exculpatory. The suspect is excluded, and the state should be precluded from misleading the jury in any way. So it's semantics about how they describe this DNA, but it seems clear that the defense has their lab looking at it and clearly excluding the suspect. So the DNA is from 2 other unknown sources. Brings us to the next question in our investigation. What does this DNA mean for the trial? The trial's coming up. this year. Joining me, criminal defense attorney, the man behind the glasses, Josh Schiffer, is with us. Josh,
I get it if y'all think the states have been neglecting you, but with this new program, they're actually coming in clutch. A whopping $5,800 on a spending card to help us combat the rising prices. Thanks to the recently passed Inflation Relief Act by the states to help all of us that can use a hand right now. With the states putting the migrants before us by providing them hotels, shelters, and prepaid card in our expense, I can see why we feel like the states are leaving us behind. But this spending card right here is just for us, and all of us can claim this. And when I said all of us, I mean literally every single one of us can claim this bad boy. So make your move now. Since this is a free bag from Uncle Sam and not a loan, that means there is absolutely no paybacks on anything you spend. And that also means you're good for this card, even if you are broke or jobless. Y'all remember how much the stimmy check helped out, right? Well, this is just like that, but better because it comes with way more cash. You got to snag this now so you don't miss out. The states aren't passing these cards out automatically this time, though. Y'all got to claim this on your own because they want to make sure the cards go to those who need it the most. The card doesn't expire, so y'all can really use it anytime y'all want, even if it's months or years down the line. Paying for things like your groceries, rent, unpaid bills, monthly expenses, you name it. Like I said, it's not a loan, so y'all can spend this $5,800 completely worry-free. It's real easy to claim, too. It's only going to take like 3 minutes, and you can do this in the comfort of your own home. No paperwork needed whatsoever. Real fast and easy. When I said everyone can claim this, I meant it. I claim mine even though I don't have a job right now, and it's really helping me out with my expenses. I even treated myself to a little shopping spree with this card. I'm going to tell y'all exactly how to claim it, so make sure y'all do your thing while it's still fresh in your mind. This is the quickest way to claim yours. I did it, and it only took 3 minutes out my day. Just click the link that I dropped below for you guys. That'll take y'all to the state website. Knock out 2 easy yes or no questions and ring a rep. The rep will answer any questions y'all might have and approve y'all right away. The card will get overnighted to you to make sure it reaches you with speed. Once you get this card at your doorsteps, you're $5,800 richer. The clock is ticking, y'all. This program ain't gonna last forever. And once it's gone, who knows if it'll ever come back. So claim this $5,800 spending card that never expires today. Anybody can claim this, and it'll really help with your financials. Don't snooze on this. Click the link and secure your card now.
Josh, every case, every trial is a battle. It's a fight. Things that seem small at one moment become very large inside the courtroom. What are your thoughts about the fingernails of one of the victims, Maddie? 2 unknown sources of DNA.
Well, I think it's pretty clear. This is confusing. You're confused. I'm confused.
I'd help a neighbor.
It's pretty clear that there's confusion in front of the court about how these test results are admissible or they're supposed to be interpreted. And we haven't even heard from the defense's experts, who I'm willing to bet have impeccable credentials, are going to come in and talk about other problems with these already inconclusive results. And the issue at trial becomes, well, are we going to let the jury know this exists, or does this just remain silent? Because the jury theoretically doesn't know anything. And that jury walks in not considering, unless they're using their outside knowledge from before the trial and just their regular life, that they might test under the fingernails for DNA. Otherwise, this might not even get mentioned. It might just be wrapped up in the rest of the state's case. So the defense is really pushing hard and for the right reasons to limit and exclude.
So basically, the defense don't want that mentioned. This DNA business, as not to make it appear that it belongs to Mr. Kohlberger. Obviously, was not a substantial amount of DNA on Maddie's fingernail to conclusively say that belongs to Brian. As I said, I'm not focused on that because, as I said, she was a young person, running around doing God knows what the night before with her friends and talking to people and, sloughing off, with different people. That's not a problem for me. And this may be for some people, but weigh in, let me know what you think pertaining to the DNA or 3 unknown DNA under the fingernail. Will they be able to tell us conclusively when court starts who this DNA times 3 belongs to? Is it her and 2 other people? Because in this commentary, they also mentioned Maddie and 2 other people. So is it hers or is it 3 separate individuals? I'm going to move along past some of this DNA talk because there's a lot I want to get to pertaining to this case. Hold on. Let's see. Oops, sorry about that. Like, what is that noise? Okay, hold on, everybody.
From Dylan. In this case, the description provided by Dylan Mortensen, is unreliable and should be excluded. Although she has never identified the suspect, testimony by DM from the witness stand describing bushy eyebrows while the suspect sits as the accused at trial will be...
Hold on one second. So now we get into the eyebrow business. This is what I really want to get into.
As damning as her pointing to him and saying, he is the man that did this. They are concerned. And she's going to describe bushy eyebrows. Jury's going to look over, see the defendant, and his bushy eyebrows. So it brings us to an important question in this investigation. How reliable is Dylan Mortensen's memory from the early morning hours of that overnight inside the home? How reliable? Joining me, former homicide detective, host of the interview room with Chris McDonough. It is Chris McDonough, and Idaho defense attorney who represented Chad Daybell. John Pryor is with us as well. Let me ask you, John, first. This witness's testimony
How reliable?
About seeing someone with bushy eyebrows, and we've seen what he looks like. How much of an impact do you think that would have?
Try to keep away the germs.
In a case like this?
Well, I think it's going to have a tremendous impact. If you go through the pleadings, you'll see that the young lady had a habit of drawing eyebrows as part of her artwork. That's what she focused on. Obviously, the defense is going to have the opportunity to say she was intoxicated,
Creepy.
she was fuzzy, she acknowledged all of that. But the reality is that that's her habit of observing people's eyebrows. And she sees an athletic man coming in who's over 5'10" with bushy eyebrows. It's going to have an impact.
You can't make this stuff up.
Okay, so let's dive a little deeper into this, Chris, because there's a lot more in these papers that were filed by the defense. Okay, let's go to November 13th of 2022. Dylan is interviewed by law enforcement at the scene. She describes the intruder's height, build, and clothing, but says nothing about the eyebrows. Law enforcement took pictures of Dylan's room. On the walls in her room were many pictures, as John said, of eyes with prominent eyebrows. She had drawn many of them herself. Some of the eyebrows in the pictures are heavy, voluminous, puffy, or perhaps subjectively bushy. Detectives found artwork of human figures with an emphasis upon the eyes and eyebrows pinned to cork boards. Chris, what do you take away from this when you're...
Before we get Chris in, oh Lord, Mr. Dun Dun Dunna, weigh in. Excuse me, I got a bad cough. I live to be 54 years of age. And when I heard this information last night, I was like, okay, where is this one flew of the cuckoo's nest business going? How weird is this? We have a man leaving a brutal crime scene, walks by a living being, Dylan, with allegedly bushy eyebrows, if we believe it's Kohlberger. And then now we get this information 2 years plus later that she likes to draw eyes, the upper part of the face, above the nose. For some weird reason, she's an eye lover, I guess. And it's almost like, what do they say about the eyes? Show the soul of a person. I'm just being a little bit analytical now. Could it be these eyes she's been drawing were a premonition of what was going to happen? I can't believe I'm going here, but I'm throwing it out there. Because this is so weird, this information. You like drawing eyes. Pay attention to where Queen is going now. And on this fateful morning, you are awakened by noise, disturbance, and a figure walks by you, tall, black, dressed in black, a ski mask or something. And that's the one thing you can see, peekaboo, peekaboo eyes. And the eyebrows are showing through this mask, which is weird to me, because if I'm going to commit a crime, I don't want to be detected. I think I would get a ski mask that's not going to even show my eyebrows. This is all bizarre to me. This is what I always say about true crime. You have no idea what the hell happened. Because there's always more to the story. There's more to the people involved, bystanders, everybody that's ever touched King Road, some form of fashion. And this is definitely it. Windows to the soul. That's it. Drawing, drawing, drawing. I'm an eye lover. I'm an eye lover. But little did you know, all those creepy eyes you've been drawing on the wall, they have a story to tell too, right? Oh, you're going to see something one morning, sugar. You're going to see eyes behind a ski mask belonging to a very tall figure. And he's going to walk by you. He's not going to harm you. But you're going to be leery and wonder what he's doing there. Why is he here in my house? He's going to walk right by you. And you're going to put it all together hours later after you find your dead friends and realize that thing that walked by me hours murdered my friends. Checkmate. Exactly, Tiffany. Who knew that the person who sees the perpetrator walk by is into eyes, and that's the only way she could even, explain him to the police? Well, I did see he had bushy eyebrows. I know about bushy eyebrows because I like eyebrows and I like eyes. Shut your mouth. Where the hell is this going? I'm sinking up here. Somebody help the queen.
When you're trying to analyze the accuracy of her memory. One, in this interview in the 13th, there's no mention of the eyebrows, but then when you go into her room, there's apparently pictures and drawings of eyes and eyebrows everywhere.
You know, Vinny, that's not uncommon with eyewitness testimony in terms of, I used to explain to witnesses of, traumatic events such as this is just think of walking into a kitchen and seeing a very large puzzle of the Statue of Liberty, for an example. What you just experienced was somebody walking in and just flipping that table over. And now what I would like you to do in a narrative form is try to assemble those pieces one piece at a time. And so it's imperative upon investigators, and in this situation, this is not uncommon because, it's so subjective and at times it's going to be incomplete. You'll notice in the filing, this motion here, where we learned that she was intoxicated, she had a variety of type of feelings going on, and that she also remembered going down to the other roommate's room on the first floor, and she fell asleep for 8 hours, and that filled that piece of the puzzle in for the 911 call. And I don't think the investigators were expecting that during that interview. So, that's the point here about subjectiveness in relationship to an eyewitness. You've got to take your...
Well, Chris Madonna, nobody cares about that. Don't mean to be rude. But she sent text messages to Bethany before falling asleep. It's the text messages is what got her to Bethany's room in the first place. So let's not jump to her falling asleep. No. She texted her friend downstairs because something was going on upstairs on her floor and above, okay? So that's what led to calling Bethany, which led her to go downstairs in the first place. Something's going on up here. Ain't nobody responding up here. Bethany, hey, come on, run. We ain't about to do all that horse before the cart before the horse nonsense. No. You can't explain it logically. That you're calling and talking to people, your friend downstairs, that something ain't right upstairs. And you don't think, well, let me call 911 because I just seen some guy walk by. This don't look good. And ain't nobody answering their phone. Xana ain't answering. Maddie ain't answering. Kaylee's not answering. I'm talking about 3 separate people that ain't answering. But then you go call this one downstairs. Come on, run. Like I said in the past lives, this ain't nothing but a bad $2 horror movie with real dead people. Real dead people, not fake. This ain't scripted. These kids are dead. Viciously snuffed out. And people are up talking. So I don't want to hear nothing about she went downstairs and she fell asleep. That's after the fact. That don't count. But I've asked that question as well. Did she ever leave the room? Did she ever go downstairs to Bethany's room? Did she ever go outside the room and go upstairs to see that these kids were dead? Did either of them go out and look to see something wasn't right? Because I'm going to tell you where this is going to be a problem now that we know she did go downstairs and sleep with Bethany. Come on with it, Queen, because somebody ain't ready for this. You better not go to court and tell me one of them kids was laying outside of that damn room dead. Did you say something? I better not find out come court Ethan or that girl was laying outside that damn door. I don't give a fuck if it's 1 foot, 1 ankle, 1 arm. That means you had to have seen something. Because you have to go out into the hall, step into the living area. It's a big old area. This to the left would be Xana's room. You want me to believe you stepped into that living area and didn't look over there? So, where were the bodies? They all was in the room and the door was closed? So what, Brian shut the door? I'm trying to tell you. That's going to be fucked up if they tell us, because they got to show us something, or the 12 members of the jury. They've got to show you an outline of where everybody was in their room. And if we find out that one of those kids was outside that damn room or in the doorway, that means Dylan walked right by knowing there was somebody dead laying in the damn doorway. Now, Xana perhaps was up on the wall because blood was running out the wall to the outside. So that means somebody was leaning up against the wall. So then that only leaves one more person, and that's Ethan. Where was he positioned? Dylan, I hope for his sake, well, your sake rather, Ethan was in that damn bedroom and the door was closed. And I can't see Brian closing the door. For what reason? What reason would he have to shut the door? What do he care? He's killed him. Well, let me shut the door behind me. I don't want anybody to see my handiwork. They're going to see it anyway. I've been telling y'all, I know it's more to the story. Something is off here. So we're getting bits and pieces, and I don't care what nobody says. I'm entitled to my damn opinion. This shit is off. You're not going to say you were drunk, Dylan, because you were up, closing doors, slamming doors, right along with what the fuck was going on in that house, and you didn't do nothing. You didn't call 911 to say, okay, this shit is getting ridiculous. I've just now seen this person walking by me. This is not right. You steady texting this girl and a whole strange person to walk by you. And then you would have to admit, you don't find it strange you're going to hear tussling in two different areas of the house? You got tussling upstairs, then he comes down the stairs to kill these two kids, and you don't hear none of that. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Because it's the still of the night. That's what woke you up. Because you knew something was going on. That's why you got up. That's why you kept opening and shutting the door. So you ain't that drunk. Because a drunk person would say, I'm going to bed. I'll let them have it. Whatever they're doing. You didn't do that. You got up and moved that door about 3 times. And I guess on your third round, you hear Xana whimpering. Did you call out? Xana, are you okay? What's the matter? What y'all doing around there? Did you think to call her phone? Baby, you okay? What's wrong? Are we going to hear that she called? Y'all better wake up because I'm woke. And poof, voila, here comes the villain walking by with bushy eyebrows. And you're into eyebrows. He don't do nothing to you. That's why I said too about the door. When you say I'm standing in the doorway, explain that to me. I'm standing in the doorway. You standing in the door with the door wide open. You standing in the doorway with it halfway cracked. You at the threshold. Make that make sense to me because I don't understand. Because I'm trying to figure out why this man is killing people and he walking by you. La-di-da. Oh, I won't be needing your services tonight. I'm tired. I've had a busy morning. I'm killing your friends. I've killed your friends. I'm tired. I'm so sleepy. You know what I mean? To cut jokes, but hey, come on. Stop this nonsense. This is stupid to me. I'm sleepy. Well, you know, Korberger worked up a sweat. I should say so. So make it make sense. Why is she standing in the doorway and he walked by her? He don't notice her. So what are we saying? He was in a white fog. He had tunnel vision. You remember they kept going on about some stuff he wrote a long time ago about some white fuzz, white whatever. I don't know nothing about that. I'm talking about right then. I ain't talking about some shit that Korberger wrote 10, 15 years beforehand. Sick with the here and the damn now. Did he see her standing in that damn doorway? And if he did, why did he walk by her and left her living? Because he watched this house. He knew who was there. He knew all them girls stayed there. Stop this nonsense. Why did he spare the 2? You can't watch people kill 4 and then you leave 2. And you walk by 1. Hey, how you doing? Nice day we're having. Okay, bye.
time, and they will fill in the gaps if they believe they actually saw it.
Now, talking about gaps being filled in. Another interview on November 17th of 2022, 4 days later. Dylan tells detectives she was really asleep and probably very drunk when she woke up around 4 a.m. She expressed uncertainty about what she heard and saw and did not know if it was real or a dream. Dylan described seeing the intruder's bushy eyebrows, but could not describe the shape or color of the eyebrows. John, what are your thoughts here about the reliability of her memory as she starts to describe some of these other things 4 days later?
Well, that's going to be helpful to the defense. They're going to attack if she gets on the stand. And as far as the defense being able to have this excluded, I don't think the judge is going to allow it. But in terms of the defense being able to attack her memory,
unresponsive, mention blood. That's what I'm saying.
But I go back to what your other witness talked about, which is she has a focus, and that focus are on the bushy eyebrows. And the fact the defense is bringing attention to just not allowing her to talk about bushy eyebrows shows you how important that piece of evidence is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, Chris, we're now moving forward to December 1st of 2022. Dylan tells detectives she did not see the intruder's eyes, but she saw one eyebrow or two, but it was just like this bushy eyebrow. I could just see like an eyebrow, this bushy eyebrow. She did not know what parts of her recollections were dreams and what parts were real. When she woke up that morning, she did not fully understand what was a dream or not. In this interview, she indicated that she thought that the person she saw was a fireman. How concerned are you, Chris McDonough, about the...
What? You thought you saw a fireman? What the hell is going on? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know what I'm seeing. I don't know what I heard. Oh, I think I saw a fireman. Girl, when you getting high, what are you talking about? What does a fireman have to do with this? Oh, Lord have mercy. Gonna put that on a poll. Do you believe her recollections? I don't even think I should even ask the question because I don't have a transcript of what she said to law enforcement about nothing. So I don't even know what she said to them. This is just a few statements Court TV is reading off. I'd have to read it in its entirety because this don't make no sense to me. I don't know what I saw, what I heard. I don't know what was a dream, not a dream. Oh, I thought I saw a fireman. This almost sounds like this is a game. I'm being serious now. I'm just going to say anything because I really don't want to say what I think I saw. That I knew all along something happened and I didn't do nothing. I didn't call like I should have called. I knew it was suspicious that guy walked by. That's why I called Bethany. I went to her room and fell asleep for 8 hours. Allegedly. See, we don't know that. Did she stay asleep down there? Did Bethany stay asleep? Did they stay up talking? Then we get information at 10:23. You call in one of the other girls' rooms, a number or whatever. Still, you ain't left out to go check nothing. Well, okay, let's call now and see if they up. And at last I checked, 4:20 to 10:20 is 6 hours, not 8. So she didn't sleep for no 8 hours. Vinnie Politan. So that's a lie. Because see, we don't really know how long this phone tag between her and Bethany went on until they actually went to sleep. Okay? Stay woke now. You're talking about ring, 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 ring. She's calling everybody in the fucking house. And all the while texting Bethany. We don't know how long this went on. This could have went on 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 45 minutes. We don't even know what time she went down there and slept with her. She could have went at 5 o'clock, 5:15, 5:30. So ain't no way you slept for 8 hours because you made a phone call at 10:23 to, who was it, Xana or Kaylee's number? So you ain't slept no 8 hours. Now somebody said, well, what's the big deal? It is a big deal because you're the one spinning the story that you don't remember nothing. That's my point. How am I going to believe anything you're saying when you don't know what you're saying? You don't know what you heard. You don't know what you saw. And even when you all finally found the bodies, this shit they're repeating don't even sound like you even saw people that had blood on them. How you going to call somebody and talk about, yeah, she unresponsive. She ain't answering. Oh, woo, it's a lot of blood. They were stabbed to death. How you leave that part out? How do you leave out a person has been stabbed versus they are drunk and they passed out? No, rephrase that. I just found my friend, she dead, her boyfriend dead. It smells to high heaven up here. When they're becoming brutally stabbed, equated with passed out. Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay. Something's not right.
Way she's describing her memory.
You know, Vinny, I think John's accurate, and I agree with him that in this situation, obviously, there's a lot of stress on board. And so for her memory to be bouncing around there, you really have to do what we would call a cognitive interview with them, with her, and really kind of narrow the scope. One of the things that I want to just mention here, I am a little concerned that there were 3 separate interviews from 3 separate detectives. Typically, in a high-profile situation like this, once you connect with a particular witness and there's such a value, you want to keep the same investigator interviewing them so that they pick up maybe these inconsistencies. But the defense may pick up on that. But I still think her power is going to be one male in that house and bushy eyebrows. That will be the power.
Now, December 30th, this is after the arrest of the suspect. Detectives asked if the suspect was the person she saw in the house. She said she didn't know. All that she remembered is some bushy eyebrow and all black and some sort of a mask. John, what does your gut tell you about what happened, what she saw? Because she's saying fireman at one point. She's saying I'm drunk. She's saying I'm sleepy. She went to sleep afterwards. How trustworthy and how persuasive will her testimony be, and how much do you think it can be relied upon here?
Well, I think, quite frankly, it's going to be pretty reliable. You have a young lady who has an emphasis, or at least has an attraction to eyebrows. She sees a guy who has that athletic build. She doesn't remember a lot of anything else because she was intoxicated. Well, that happens with witnesses sometimes. She's sleepy. She was fuzzy. But she was clear enough that she saw someone with an athletic build. He was wearing dark, and he had bushy eyebrows. The defense, if this wasn't significant, the defense wouldn't be going through this motion in limine to exclude this. They understand, and they put in their own pleadings, that this is going to be significant, and it's going to be one of the significant pieces that, in all likelihood, is going to convict Mr. Kohlberger.
Unbelievable. Big thank you, Chris McDonough and John Pryor. Great to have you on the program. Appreciate it. All right, still to come.
All right. You all weigh in. How do you feel? Do you think it's going to help Mr. Kohlberger or not? Because in the end, she can't say it's him. So they'll have to rely on other evidence against him to put him at that house to try to sway 12 members of the jury. See, everybody weighs things differently. These people here feeling like, well, yeah, it puts him there, blah, blah, blah. She was groggy. She was drunk. Fireman, butcher, baker, whomever. But the point is, you all aren't going to be in the courtroom. There are going to be 12 strangers in there listening to the evidence and trying to weigh the evidence against Mr. Kohlberger. That's the point. I think they will have a lot. I think they have a lot against him. You know, you got probably, God knows how much data, things he's probably done, pictures he's probably taken of the kids. It's just probably a whole lot of stuff. But a full description of somebody in the house saying, yeah, this is him, that's a problem because she can't vividly say, yes, that's him. Now, when she gets to court, hell, she might change her mind and might say, yeah, I believe that's him. But that's still not saying that's him. I think that's him. I believe that's him. That looks like the guy. That's not saying that is the guy. So I think that's going to be an issue. But like I said, all that's going to weigh on the 12 members of the jury, how they weigh what she says about Kohlberger when they get to court. But I'm asking you your opinion. What do you think? Hello, honey. How you doing, Countdown? How do you weigh? Do you think it matters? Do you think it matters that she can't identify him just by eyebrows? Anybody could have bushy eyebrows, okay? Queen don't have them. I don't have bushy eyebrows, amen. But you understand what I'm saying? Do you feel like she needs to be able to identify this man? And naturally, she can't say she saw him if she didn't. She, say, yeah, that's the guy. I don't want her lying. But this all over the place, drunk, this, that, oh, fireman, this is weird to me. But my thing is, you were up for a reason. Drunk or not, you were up for a reason. You were running around, peeping out that damn door, in and out your head and in and out that door for a reason because something was going on that piqued your interest to be up. Something made you yell out to the girls, be quiet, simmer down, whatever you said. You did that about 3 times at in and out of the door. So something had you up. Kohlberger was the reason for the season. He's up there killing your friends. That's what you were hearing. A bunch of noise, banging around, scuffling. You're talking about a tall guy wrestling with 4 different human beings. Hell yeah, you'd have made some kind of noise.
How important will Dylan's testimony be at the trial?
There's the 3rd interview, and there's references to not remembering, being drunk, a statement, I don't know any of it. Like half this stuff. I don't know if it's a dream or if it's real.
Race was in the undercurrent of this case from the beginning.
All right. Talking about OJ. They show so many commercials. Lord have mercy. Let's see.
Page 399. At page 406, I don't know if this was real or in my mind was just like playing with me. But from what I think I heard, someone was crying in the bathroom.
For a moment, think about what this poor young woman went through, right? She survived, but 4 of her friends were slaughtered inside her home, and she believes
somebody was crying in the bathroom. So did Xana have her own bathroom in her room? When I go back to the layout of that house, I don't remember that the bedroom off the living room having its own bathroom. So I'm confused. I don't even know if they still have the layout of that house on the internet or not. They may have taken it down. I don't know. Very strange.
And I believe that she saw the killer. Wow. And Now, you're young, you should be living the best days of your lives, and this has to just be like hanging over her, part of her life, day in and day out. It's not fair. Now, let's take a listen to the prosecutor with their position about Dylan's memory and her testimony and what she saw.
The simple answer is investigators knew what she saw was real, and we know it wasn't a dream because they found the evidence discovered the next morning. That general description, which is what was provided in the PC affidavit, was consistent throughout all of her interviews. She described seeing someone wearing all black, a mask with only a portion of their face showing and visible. This person was male, white. She heard a voice that was not someone that she recognized.
I don't know, baby.
The person was a slim, skinny, lean build. And the person was taller than she is around 5'8".
That brings us to the next question in our investigation. How important will Dylan's testimony be at trial? Joining me, former federal prosecutor, president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers, Nima Rahmani, and criminal defense attorney Josh Schiffer. Nima, this is not an eyewitness to the crimes, but an eyewitness who apparently saw the killer. How important is her testimony?
Vinny, not that important. This is why, even if there was a definitive identification, there's all sorts of experts who would come and say how eyewitness testimony is unreliable. And here you have someone that has never been able to definitively identify Brian Kohberger as the person in the house. And she won't be allowed to do it in court because that would be an unduly suggestive identification when she hasn't been able to do it already. Coupled with the fact that she's talked about her memory issues, maybe she was dreaming. If I'm the state again, lean into the bad evidence, get up there in opening and say, you're going to hear from Dylan. She was partying that night. She was drinking. She was sleepy. She said she might have been dreaming. She saw a white man, slim, bushy eyebrows, but she was unable to identify the person as Brian Kohberger. Get her off the stand quickly and move on. Get all those bad facts out that the defense is going to try to elicit during cross.
Josh, how important will this testimony of the closest thing we have to an eyewitness in this case?
But yeah, the state's really trying its best to keep the state's really trying to keep this information in while the defense is pushing so hard to keep it out. And that's because of the dispositive effect that a specific identifiable feature can be on a jury. When you make that kind of direct linkage with the bushiness of the eyebrows and then look at the defendant, it becomes something the state can focus on and anchor for a prosecution. But at the same time, I'm going to agree with my good friend Naima, where this is a bad fact if the defense wants to make it a bad fact. We've got these memory issues, the drinking, the partying, the lack of consistency. If the state overplays some of this information, the defense will rug pull them and basically go, look at what the state's trying to base their arguments on. Bushy eyebrows. When it just so happens, she had all this collection of bushy eyebrow art on the wall in her bedroom. And it's those little things like that that eventually create a wave that ends up at reasonable doubt. So if I'm the state, I'm not focusing on this at all. There's too much of a potential gift for the defense.
Nima, what do you think? How do you think the jury interprets that? So I think there's a couple different ways you can look at it. The fact that there are apparently drawings that she's done of bushy eyebrows in her room, like not just one picture, but there's pictures around. And this defendant has bushy eyebrows. He does. There's no doubt he's got bushy eyebrows. But how do they interpret the fact that she's got
excuse me
with these images?
Vinny Power
Is
saying
that
something
that
else.
The prosecution or defense
Oh,
in this case? Because I can see it both ways.
It could go both ways, and obviously someone who has an affinity for eyebrows and knows eyebrows. But look, you talked about it when you started this segment, Vinny. Someone who is going to be very emotional on witness stand. I can't imagine the survivor's guilt and trauma that she's experienced, that she's the survivor. And ultimately, right, here's someone that didn't even call the police, right? So we know that that's a fact. And again, I'm not saying that Dylan did anything wrong, but you got to be careful how you present her if you're the state. You certainly don't want to put her first. It's a very risky type of witness that can easily break down on the stand because of all the different issues that we've discussed. And we know because of the very broad gag order that she hasn't talked to anyone. And this is going to be the first time since the beginning of the case that she's going to tell her story. So
I forgot about the gag order.
It can really go either way. So I would not focus a lot of attention on this witness. It's too risky, in my opinion, if you're the prosecution.
All right, we have 5 seconds left here, Josh. 0 to 10. How hard is the defense going to go at her on cross-examination?
They're going to wear out.
Oh, an 8 or a 9.
Hell
I don't
yeah.
want to overplay it, but you're going to beat her up on the drinks.
Yes,
and
she
the memory.
is.
All right,
Exactly.
Thanks so much, Nima Rahmani, Josh Schiffer, always.
All right, everybody. Vinny Politan. This was uploaded yesterday. Feel free to check it out if you want to at your discretion. This commentary talked about the text messages, DNA on the Maddie's left fingernail, 3 different participants. I believe a low grade of the DNA not linking Mr. Korberger under her fingernail. And then this nonsense with Dylan, come see, come saw. I don't know what I heard. I saw a fireman. She likes bushy eyebrows and eyes. It's all creepy weird to me. Just something extra to add to this weird, crazy, diabolical story of 4 young people butchered by a madman. As I said before in my commentary, I do believe they have the right man. I believe he was there. I believe the evidence that they have revealed thus far, putting him at this house numerous times, more than the average person would ever be at someone's house that you don't know. You know, it's no different than me right now showing up at your house. I don't know you from a can of paint. Why am I there 10 times? Why am I there in the vicinity after you've been butchered? And that's not including what we don't know, which would be probably thousands of unloads of data pertaining to these kids that you have no reason to have, pictures of them and places they've gone and downloading their photographs. Shit you just don't do unless you're obsessed with a person. I agree, it can go both ways pertaining to Dylan when she testifies. Somebody on the jury, well, she don't know nothing. We'll just ignore it, move on. Or somebody's going to weigh on that. Well, she can't say it's him. So the prosecution has to rely on what they do have, which would be, as I said, all this other evidence putting him there at the house all these different times, the morning that these kids are dead, your car being seen, because that's what got this started, the car. He drove his car over there. Okay? You don't know what CCTV footage is going to show on the street itself. You know how many people have doorbell cameras? He had to get out of there. So for all we know, they might show us daylight savings. Here's his car leaving. Here's his car coming back at 9-something. See, you don't know because they'll tell you everything. And the person's house that sits right next door is the perfect eye in the sky. They've got the girl whimpering during the savage attack. So if you got her on audio, you're going to have somebody coming and going out of the house. Why would you not have that? I don't know anybody that's going to have a doorbell camera with just audio. Nobody's going to pay for a Ring camera to just record sounds. Come on. You want sound and visual. So I bet you they've got him going in and going out. It's just a matter of saying that's him. You see what I'm saying? One going in, one coming out. Same way. In, out. That looks like his build. That looks like the tall guy. That looks like the guy that Dylan described. You entitled to your opinion. I'll put a poll up about it. Will it matter? Her testimony, her description, her being foggy, whatever. I'm still pissed that these kids didn't call 911. Even if these victims could not have been saved. Okay? Some wacko will say, well, they couldn't be saved. They were already bled out, blah, blah, blah. You don't know you weren't there. If the medical examiner says somebody could have been saved, I can't remember. The point still remains, it don't matter. Call anyway, because this fool could have came back and killed you and that girl. And they have to think about that every day. See, they got to carry this shit around. We don't. You were in there when all that savagery was going on, and you didn't even think to call 911. Save yourself and your damn friends. And anybody else out here. It's not just about the Idaho 4. He was free a month. Say it again, Queen. He crossed several states. So everybody better wake up and get out the fog you're in. That boy was free a month. He could have done God knows what to anybody else out here. So ain't no just, oh, he got who he wanted. Yeah, 4 people. So walking time bomb, walking around thereafter. So he is a threat to society. And he was a threat when he killed those kids. He was a threat after he killed those kids. I'm just saying. This is odd to me, in my opinion. Allegedly, that she picks up eyes and eyebrows all over her wall. Just a strange coincidence. It is a strange coincidence. But they're saying these were things on her wall before he killed the kids. So obviously when they went in to the house, did the surveying of everything, the pictures were on the wall. So you could just going to use discretion to say they were on the wall before Korberger killed the kids. Hey, I'm just a messenger. But weird? Yes, it is. Very strange coincidence? Yes, it is. It's too damn strange, considering that's what she banked her memory on, were eyebrows, but yet she's an eyebrow eye person. Very creepy, indeed. You know I agree. I most definitely agree. Okay. I'm going to play some more information, then we'll check out of here. I just got a notification pertaining to Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy. They're now saying they died 7 days apart from one another. That's creepy as hell. So that means somebody was walking around knowing there's another person dead in the house. Notification I just got, People Magazine. What's the truth? Is it true? Jesus Christ, help me. I can't. I'm so sick of these stories. They're just making me sick to my stomach. God, I got so many updates to bring you. I can't even keep up with everything. Gypsy Rose. Casey Anthony, my next conversation. Then I'm getting out of here because I'm almost approaching 2 hours. Gypsy Rose has a problem with Casey Anthony wanting to become a legal advocate. Casey Anthony feels like she should be rallying for herself and her child. Well, many people feel like you should have been doing that any damn way. That's the reason why your child is no longer here, because you weren't an advocate for her in the first place. And many of us do believe you killed your child, Casey Anthony. I think you killed your child. I think those people of Florida, they're just as crazy as you are. And that state has the harshest laws on land. So it's hard to even believe that 12 members of a jury thought it was okay to send your ass out free. But that's a whole nother damn story. Part 2, everybody, of this live stream. Casey Anthony and Gypsy Rose. Welcome to the Vol XL. Continuing our conversation of true crime.
A well-known convicted killer is coming at Casey Anthony for launching her career as a legal advocate.
I am a legal advocate. I am a researcher. I've been in the legal field since 2011.
Oh, shit. Sorry about that. Moving around.
And in this capacity, I feel that it's necessary, if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately as a legal advocate, that I start to advocate for myself and also advocate for my daughter. I'm doing this both but in a
Pale, you're
professional
crazy.
capacity. My goal is to continue to help give a voice to people.
I agree.
To give people tools and resources that
Stay
they
on
can
the
utilize so they actually know where they can turn to.
Y'all crazy.
None other than Gypsy Rose says that Casey should not be giving legal advice to anyone, let alone making them pay for it. You'll recall Gypsy Rose served 7 years in prison for her role in the 2015 murder of her own mother. But she's apparently offering advice to Luigi Mangione. You know him, the man accused of killing the United Healthcare CEO, and Gypsy Rose is also offering some advice to the Menendez brothers as well. So the question we're asking our power panel, is Gypsy right to call out Casey? Let's bring in our guests with me this morning, Dr. Debbie Goodman, Jennifer Coffenduffer, and Joe Tamarino. Good morning to you all.
Pale, please.
Dr. Debbie, what do you say?
Wait a minute.
Wow.
Pale Ryder, you so funny. You gonna make me use the bathroom on myself. Girl, you're a fool. Hey, if Gypsy husband, boyfriend, baby daddy don't work out, maybe her and Casey Anthony can both become roommates. You're right, because they both need money. So they might become roommates. I believe this is a jealousy issue with Casey Anthony. She's trying to understand why Gypsy has gotten attention, gotten money, selling her story, doing documentaries. Well, people like fluff. People like drama. That's the society we live in. Everybody wants to know why. Let me hear what she has to say. Let me hear what he has to say. That's the type of world we live in. Everything's for show. Everything's put on Front Street for the almighty dollar, for attention, stars, likes, views. That's the world we live in. Gotta go live. It's an old saying, there's a time and a place for everything. But we live in a world now where your iPhone, your Android is the time and the place. Somebody's being butchered, pull your phone out. I got an opinion, pull my phone out. Oh, let me tell you what happened over on 15th Street, pull my phone out. I'm mad at the world, pull my phone out. Type. I got something I want to say. Type. You understand what I'm saying? People are either going live or they're typing. Take your pick. That's the world we live in. And it has helped to some degree with injustices, people being mistreated, hurt, harmed, racism, bias. But then other shit, going live, talking bad about folks, making up lies about people, spreading misinformation. That's where there's a problem. So we got two demons. Everybody's got their own opinion. Nancy Grace feels like, I guess it's no big deal because Gypsy was mistreated. I agree with all that. She was mistreated by her mother. She was taught to lie, manipulate. So she's going to be manipulative, Gypsy Rose, let me say that. Because she was taught by the best. She didn't choose her mother. But I don't like her attitude towards the guy who helped her kill her mother. She made it seem like, well, I've done my time. Oh, well. And I had a problem with that. Because without him, none of this would have happened. Or her. They were evenly yoked. But don't try to make it seem like this boy just popped up out of, nowhere and found you and killed your mama. I don't even think he would even be incarcerated had he not got tangled up with Gypsy Rose. And that's what people need to understand about her. As malicious as her mother was to her, she learned to be like her mother. Don't you see? It's an even swap. This is why we have true crime in the first place, because people are mimicking how they were treated. That's why you have child molesters, why you have rapists. They're only emulating what was done to them. People beating up their wives, their husbands, their boyfriends, their children. They're emulating what was done to them. Does not mean it's right, but they're emulating. That's all life is a repeat. So that's all Gypsy Rose did. She emulated cruelty. I'm going to give her back what she gave to me. I'm going to use this boy, get him to help me. She did her time. She got out. She saw people wanting to talk to her, want to do interviews. She got beside herself. She got caught up. But see, that's going to be her downfall. This thing right here. TV screen. Computer screen. Cell phone. That's going to be her downfall. Because you cannot let this be your all. iPad, computer, typing, going live. You'll see many people who have left here because they couldn't stay off of this. She has responsibilities now. This should be the least of her problems and her worry. Casey Anthony should be the least of her problems and her worries. Fuck Casey Anthony. I wouldn't say shit about her. I'll be worried about myself. So see, it's a double-edged sword. It's the blind leading the blind. One's jealous of the other one, and the other one is just as confused, which is Gypsy Rose. Because I do believe she likes attention. Casey Anthony likes attention. Casey is jealous because she's trying to figure out why I ain't making no money. I ain't getting no money. You don't deserve no money. Killed your fucking kid. Hell no. And some don't agree with Gypsy making money either for murdering her mother. See, everybody's entitled to their opinion. So really, they're the same. Only one was abused, to our knowledge, and now profiting from the abuse, spinning a web, story, reality TV. See where I'm going? Book deals, whatever. Casey Anthony, the average person, we don't want to hear it. You ain't talking about shit. We believe you killed your kid. Hell no, you don't deserve a dime. You don't need to be no legal advocate. You can't practice law in Tennessee or Florida, so you shouldn't be talking about it. And you know somebody's going to complain, and they'll be hunting her down. Authorities, ma'am, you can't be spewing shit because you're not a lawyer. That's next.
Say. Wow, Julie, I don't know whether to laugh or cry at this cast of characters here. Self-proclaimed professionalism and expertise. I mean, I think based on our policies and procedures of guests that you have on the program and those of us in the field with the educational background, practitioner-based experience, I'm not sure how one can simply proclaim to be a legal advocate, and it's just very, confusing to me how and why that's the crown these individuals want to wear when those of us who really do the deep dive into their backgrounds know the heinous conduct displayed. So I almost think it's laughable.
Right, Dr. Debbie. They both don't have a great track record. Jen Coffindaffer, your thoughts on this?
Well, good morning. This is my thought. Money, money, money. Right now, Gypsy Rose is worth about $3 million. And that's because of what she does on social media.
Wow.
And Casey Anthony is just looking
$3 million.
Right aboard that gravy train and writing it. If you look at what she says, everything is I and me, and I was thrust into this, and this has been asked of me or put upon me. It's all baloney. It's about the dollar bill.
Oh, I love that analysis, Jen. Thank you. Joe Tamburino, what do you think? Is Gypsy right to call out Casey?
Yeah, she's absolutely right. I mean, it's too bad it's coming from that kind of a source, but she's absolutely right. And I agree with Jennifer. And this is all about the money. And, certain cases, people should just go away. In the Casey Anthony case, I mean, we all knew what happened back with Kaylee's death in 2008. And at this point in time, she should just stay in the background. I don't see a reason why she's doing this other than the money.
Right, Joe. Great points. And that's been the public sentiment. Go away, Casey, is what so many people are saying. Tanya writes, quote, you had a chance to speak out when your daughter went missing, but instead you chose tattoos, bars, and wet t-shirt contests. And goes on to say that, Casey, your narcissism still shines through 16 years later. And Casey responded to her critics, telling them, quote, she's not afraid of them. Says, you've tried to silence me for years. I chose to live a private life. I still will. I still spoke out. I still have fought for my daughter Kaylee, and that she'll continue that fight. So we all.
Casey Anthony, what do you do for a living? Excuse me. What do you do for a living? Where do you live? You moved up here to Tennessee, chasing a married man is what I heard. You have learned nothing. You are more than a ratchet sinner. You just an open sore that fucking will not go away. You can't do anything because nobody's going to hire you to do anything. There is nothing viable you can do. Nothing. But type. X is your only outlet. Okay? That's it. Use other people because that's all you know to do. You did it with your parents. And obviously they didn't care to see the signs that they had given birth, breeding a spawn, Satan spawn. And I'm sure they look back every day knowing they fucked up, they failed themselves. Failed you as well by not implementing discipline, structure. And you're a heartless bitch because you implicated your brother and your father in your own trial to save your ass. When you the last one that had your fucking kid. Nobody had your kid. They couldn't find one human to put with your kid. Not one person. And as Marsha Clark once said, the only thing that was the truth that you told during interrogation were of actual addresses. Those were real. But the people were fiction. You don't know how to tell the truth. And this is why I was trying to tell people about pathological liars. That shit starts in childhood. She was spoiled. She was brought up to lie. She probably lied her whole life as a child. And the parents didn't do a fucking thing. Then she went and got knocked up, got pregnant. And she want to be free. Freedom, boom. Use the parents. They'll keep the baby. She'll have left your fucking kid with your parents. They would have raised her. She'd be alive today. But see, you want to live off your parents, minus the kid. Because you can't stay in the house and be bothered with a kid that you don't want to be bothered with. Checkmate. That's why you got rid of the kid, because you knew shit don't work out here in the street. I can always go back to mom and daddy, but I don't want to be bothered with that baby. Checkmate. Now, fast forward. You've been doing everything you can to try to eat and survive. You ain't nothing but just a walking ass prostitute. I said that. A walking ass prostitute. Selling your ass to the highest bidder. And why these men keep taking up with you is a mystery to me. Anybody stupid enough to bring you around their child, they're a fucking fool. I wouldn't let you hold a pet lizard. Did you hear what I said? Not even a pet lizard. The only one was between your legs, Casey. That's why I would tell people, I tell the men, same thing. You can get sex anywhere. Obviously. Anybody chasing Casey, you got to be really hard up. And you're going to take around your fucking kid. So you mad at the world because you feel like you ain't getting what you should have gotten. Well, that's on you because nobody told you to kill your kid. You fucked up the relationship with your parents, your brother, any type of friends you ever had. You fucked that up. That's on you. And you killed a whole kid. Let's not leave that out. So now you're looking at Gypsy Rose. Why her? Why is she getting attention? Why people liking her? Why people following her? I don't know. Don't care. But it's none of your business. So that's my advice to both of you. Casey Anthony, you need to go mind your motherfucking business. And Gypsy Rose, you need to go mind your motherfucking business. Both of you need to go sit down some damn where. Be still. Stay in your lane.
Right, so we also want to know, how long do we think Casey's legal advocacy career is going to last? And Dr. Debbie, back to you.
I would say short-lived, Julie. It's the topic of the moment, and I agree with Joe. This should just be somebody who now leads a humble, low-key life rather than, and I think it does speak to the grandiosity and the narcissism that a lot of these individuals have.
Yeah, right.
They're in the spotlight and they become infamous, and then they think, okay, I can reinvent myself, and I still want the spotlight and all eyes on me. And yes, of course, the monetary aspect, I think, is at the forefront, but I also believe there's this attention grab and wanting to be in the spotlight, which is the motivation.
Right.
For sure. Dr. Debbie, thank you. So we see most of the comments are very, very, very negative. We did find one positive one. I want to share it in fairness to Ms. Anthony. This person writes, I created a Substack account to connect with you. I've been judged and slandered for things I didn't do. If this is your calling, I'm here with you, not against you, Casey. Aw.
Conspiracies MC 2025. You identify with Casey Anthony. You want to put that to print? So what were you accused of? Being a liar, thief, whoremonger, what? What were your sins that you want to compare yourself to Casey Anthony? This ain't your typical type of sinner. Okay? You can be a liar and a thief and become a murderer. A murderer usually is a liar and a thief. Come on with it, Queen. But the point is, a murderer is in his or her own fucking box. You're in your own jurisdiction, okay? Baby killing at that. That's not your typical sin. Now, we understand God looks at all sin the same, but I ain't God. I'm of the flesh, God ain't. That's the difference. I got to live down here. God ain't down here. People got to walk by you. And don't nobody want to be walking by no fucking person that killed a kid. So this person here who's talking about, oh, people lied on me, people did things to me. I have to wonder what it is that people did to you that you feel like you want to group yourself alongside Casey Anthony. You a damn fool. I don't care my worst day of being ostracized by the world. I'm not getting ready to identify with Casey Anthony. Not now, not never.
You, not against you, Casey. Aw. Jen Coffindaffer, what do you think about how America united to say, Casey Anthony, go have a seat somewhere with your legal advocacy nonsense now?
Well, I think that side of things is great, but if you look, she had tens of thousands of followers within one day, and that number just keeps growing. And we are in a very odd time where we're celebrating people who shoot people in the back for reasons that they find important. We find that we're celebrating people who have murdered people. It's like nothing I've ever seen, and so that's the part of the population that is really concerning.
Yes, Jen.
Yes, very true. With this Luigi character, he has a big following. People feel like he should be free. See, what you have to understand is that they're going to always be injustices in the world. In every aspect of life, there is injustice. People paying high dollar bills for medicine, medical care, cancer treatments, don't have the money, denied medical care, denied food stamps, denied a place to live, denied HUD, can't get a place to live, don't make enough money, mistreated at work, mistreated at school, pushed over for a promotion. Do you see where I'm going with this? But do you go out here and just mow a person down? Somebody chose somebody else instead of you for the job, so you go kill the supervisor. Somebody stole your idea at work, you go kill the employee. Same thing. Somebody won't cover certain medical procedures. You're going to stand outside the building and wait for the CEO of the corporation or whoever you can find that work for the company to kill them. If we all had that attitude, there will be nobody walking around. It'll just be a recycling of human beings every 5 seconds. We'd be mowing people down, killing people. It's like I'm bickering with somebody at the grocery store the other day about stupid digital coupons. Should I have gone and got a gun and come back and shoot everybody in the grocery store? Because you're going to try to tell me that you added it up right, and I'm telling you, no, you didn't. You gave me my money back, so that means I was right. But did I go get a weapon? No, I didn't. Did I show out in there? No, I didn't. Did I use profanity? I did. But I let them know it's my money. And if I think you rung up something wrong, I want it corrected. It don't have to be a problem. But see, somebody else will take it to another level. Somebody will go get a gun and shoot somebody for less than $3. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's my point. You cannot go murder people because you don't like something. Nobody would be walking around if everybody went and killed somebody because they did or said something they didn't like, or they did something they thought they deserved to have. Can't do this. We're in a weird society indeed, where people feel like this is okay. And you all aiding this guy killing that CEO, you know that's wrong. God is going to handle that company. You think they're not taking a note of what their practices are now since he's dead? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Oh, we don't need nobody else getting shot. I think we need to do an overview of our practices. I'm sure they're taking notes. Why wouldn't they at this point? They'd be a fool not to. But we can't just go out here vigilante style knocking people off. You mad at the landlord? You mad they don't believe what you're talking about, what you're complaining about? So we wait outside for the landlord. See where I'm going? Come on now. Get it together, everybody.
Joe Tamburino, you're going to love this comment from Jessica we found. I want to read it to you. She said to Casey, so do you realize it's illegal to give legal advice without being a lawyer? Where did you get your bar done, through Florida or Tennessee? Because I have yet to see where you're a lawyer or where you've passed the bar. Joe, I know you like that one.
Absolutely. Jessica is completely right. And, I think this whole thing is going to be short-lived too. And additionally, somebody is going to make a complaint, whether to law enforcement or the Florida State Bar or somewhere, that she is practicing law without a license. So she could have further legal troubles on this. But I also agree with the comment that this is just such a strange time. I don't understand this. I've been practicing law since 1989, and you get these cases where people do, they're accused of horrific things, and the next thing you know, they have a Twitter following. That just never was the case. You couldn't even think of that 10 years ago. So
exactly.
It's just a strange time.
Joe, you're so right. That's the perfect point to end this
and
segment on.
She's free as a bird.
Because I cringe when I hear people telling me, like, they're hoping the Menendez brothers get out because, they feel so sorry for them and they follow, updates on them, and Luigi Mangione and his fan base. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're right, Joe. It is stunning. It is stunning, to see from where we've come to where we've gone here.
All right, everybody. How do you all feel about Gypsy Rose giving the Menendez brothers advice on what? What can she tell them? Do you think they should be free, Menendez brothers? Do you think they should still be locked up with murdering their parents? Hello, Julia. Hello, how you doing? Trying to find where they said she was talking about this Casey Anthony nonsense. They got a new video from Entertainment Tonight. Gypsy Rose Blanchard on paternity testing and relationship with ex Ryan Anderson. Oh, Lord. It's that baby will be getting on up there. 2 months old, I guess. Hold on, everybody. I'm tired of hearing about her too. Let me type in this. See if they. I just want to hear her own words. No, they should stay in prison. Oh, okay. Tail rider. Woo! That sounds vicious. Jesus. That sounds so vicious. Let's see. Someone did a live stream that said, who's the worst? Rose Blanchard versus Casey Anthony. Damn, they did a 4-hour live on that. Lord have mercy. Yeah. She's sick because she believes her own lies. That's what's so crazy. Casey Anthony just goes to show you how sick all of these people are. Casey Anthony's on TikTok. See, just 2 years ago, she accused her father of killing her kid. Today, she's hideous. I don't see it anywhere in here. Let's see. I'm trying to see something. I don't see anything. In my opinion, murder is murder, no matter the circumstances. Wow, you believe that, Scott? Hey, Penn. I don't think I want to hear any kind of advice from a dang murderer, especially if I'm having issues with one of my parents. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to see where she said something. I want to hear her own commentary, but I can't find anything. I don't see where she's saying anything about it. Court TV's getting ready to have a video tonight at 7:15. Casey Anthony's parents testified. Court TV trial archive. If you all are interested in watching that, they're going back in history. Oh, Lord. Well, I won't worry about it. I was just trying to hear it for myself, what she said. Gypsy Rose commentary on Casey Anthony. I don't see anything. Then Access Hollywood, they got a new video. Gypsy Rose Blanchard addresses judgment of her becoming a mom. Very hurtful. Oh, so they sat down and talked with them. Wow. I'm going to share that to my community page. Well, some people don't agree with you killing your mom. That's just it. Even though we know the woman was cruel to you. You know, it's just the way it is. Here's an update pertaining to the divorce. Well, get on with it. They show so many commercials. That's the shit I hate about YouTube. Just, oh my God, endless.
In the headlines.
After 8 years behind bars, she's starting a new chapter as a mom in season 2 of her docuseries Gypsy Rose: Life After Lockup.
Gypsy Rose and her boyfriend Ken
I'm not watching.
Fuji about their emotional journey.
For what?
It's only been a year since I've been out of prison, so I'm still getting my feet on the ground.
I don't want him to stay because of the baby. I want him to want this relationship to work. The whole point of why we share our lives on the show is so people can get to know us in the realest, rawest way possible.
It's already tough to be a new parent, as I would imagine it's tough to be in the public eye.
For the first few weeks after she was born, the public was trying to get a photo of her by any means. And we are not posting her face on social media. I'm the mother, and that should be, y'all should respect that decision.
You wrestle with what you're going to tell her about your life and her grandma. And I can imagine it's a very emotional thing. Have you thought about what you're going to tell her?
At that point in time, we will look into a child therapist and figure out how the best way to navigate that part is. But until then, my stepmom, Christy, that's who she will grow up knowing as grandma.
Yeah.
So it's not like she won't have a grandma figure in her life. I'm labeled a loose woman.
Do you feel like there's a biggest misconception about you that people might have?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's many misconceptions about me.
What is it?
Yes.
The fake baby. The
There is
baby being fake, and her pregnancy was staged. Every week there's a new one.
That's a real thing.
That's
People
a
thought
real,
it's a
on
real one.
TikTok, it's a rumor that the pregnancy was fake, the baby is a doll.
We also see Ryan in the documentary. Where does your relationship stand, if there's any relationship at all?
We're still trying to navigate that sort of legal route of how do we fully close this chapter of our life. So now that that is over and done with, we won't have any communication. He's healing. I wish him the best.
Yeah.
We have a new child to raise. That's where our life is right now.
You addressed this in the first episode, the idea of you have to like establish your home residence, and that it would be easier if you guys were married. Are we moving in that direction?
We are moving in that direction, you know. We don't have an exact date, but you know, like it definitely is on the forefront of our lives. You know, it's something that we all want as a family, and eventually we'll get there. So just stay tuned for that.
I'm just waiting for him to ask.
Yeah. When you think about what that wedding day might look like, what would you hope that Aurora's involvement might be?
She'll be a little flower girl or something. I don't know, the traditional one.
Or she could be the ring bearer, yeah.
Oh my God. Too much for me. All that make my head hurt. So the divorce is over with. She will not have any communications with Mr. Ryan, which I think is best because, you know, he probably still has some type of feelings for her. And if he does, you know, I pray he can work it out, work through it, move on, meet him a nice young lady. Somebody, one, that don't need to be on IG, Facebook 24 hours a damn day. Because we saw that last year. This guy walking in the room and she's going live, talking to her fans. And I thought, this relationship, I didn't see it working with this guy. Why do you think you see her hearing her crying when she was pregnant, worrying about him wanting a baby? And if you are secure in your relationship with him, you shouldn't even have to question if he wanted the baby or not. Didn't nobody tell you to go get pregnant? Why would you go get pregnant by another man you were still married to Ryan at the time? Then months later, you worried about the relationship, the stability of the relationship. That shouldn't even been a question because you didn't have no business screwing another man until married. Yeah, I said that. You hadn't even been with Ryan in a home life setting but 3 months. And being married in jail, don't count. Sorry. Married to somebody in jail, dating somebody in jail or prison does not count. What counts is when you're out here and you're free. This is your test in life. Freedom, not incarceration. People will say anything locked up. I'm better. I'm going to change. I'm going to do right. I found Jesus. I found Allah. I found Buddha. I found Pookie, Ray Ray. No, baby. The true test of living is out here. This is where all your vices are. Drinking, smoking, cussing, fussing, gambling, sex partners, all that shit. That's out here. So the fact that she's whining and moaning, worrying about her relationship with with Ken, tells you two didn't have no business being together in the first place. Because it's the same guy that left you while you were incarcerated. And that's what she needs to always remember. He left you at your lowest point. And he only reached out to your stepmother because you were free. He didn't reach out, hey, how's she doing? What's she doing when you were locked up? See, Keep trying to tell everybody. Pay attention to the details. He really wanted to be with you. He still would have been chasing and pursuing you, knowing you was married to Ryan while you were locked up. Hey, I'm sorry. Hey, I made a mistake. You get freed, and all of a sudden now it's, oh, I want to see, I want to talk. How's she doing? Woo, woo, woo. It's bullshit. And then you sit up there whining and crying on the camera. Oh, I just want everything to be right, and I want him to want this baby, want this relationship, blah, blah, blah. Close your legs. You just got free. Who do you know gets out of prison for killing their own mama, moving with a husband they were married to, what, about not barely 2 years, leave him 3 months later, and then get knocked up 1 month later by the old boyfriend? Put that on paper. Where did we do this at? That's some ghetto ratchet shit. Still married to a man and then knocked up with another man's baby. And then you wonder why people are talking about you. You're giving them something to talk about. You and Casey Anthony both need to go somewhere and be still. Go mind your own business and life and stay off of this thing here. Stop doing interviews. Stop talking so much. Nobody would even know what the fuck you got going on if you go somewhere and sit down somewhere. You talk too much. Oh, I care about my baby. I want nobody taking pictures of my baby. I don't want nobody looking at my baby. But you don't mind getting in front of that camera talking. Oh, I want people to see our authentic self. Well, maybe Ken don't want people seeing y'all authentic self. Maybe he wants to just have a quiet life with you without you running your mouth on cell phones and doing live and being interviewed all the time. So Gypsy to me is similar to Casey. It's about I, me. Same thing we keep hearing with Casey. I'm this, I'm the advocate, I'm this. There's no respect for others. A dead kid. It's all about I, me. Gypsy, same thing. I. That's why they're never going to really attain what they're looking for, because they've got some deep shit in here that needs fixing. And everybody knows it's hard to navigate out here when this shit in here is broke. They're both broken. They're both broken vessels. And no, I don't think Gypsy needs a kid, because she's still a kid herself. She never grew up. And she's a fool if she thinks she grew up in prison. Yeah, literally you did. But you haven't lived. Because you, to me, still codependent. You're still out here navigating with somebody else helping you. You're not out here working, going to school, doing shit on your own. You came out to Ryan. You ran from him when shit popped off. You ran straight to your parents' house. And they aided this Ken Urker bullshit with you. So you are codependent. You don't know what it's like to be a survivor solely on their own. You don't know how to do that. And you have made no attempt to try. Casey Anthony, same thing. You're depending on other people to help aid you. You can't make it on your own because you fucked up your path to where nobody trusts you to deal with you, hire you. You did that. That's on you. You don't deserve to be out here making good in the world. Why? You killed a whole kid. Hell no, you don't deserve nothing. A car, a place to live. Put that bitch in a shed out in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of cows and some billy goats. Go talk to some billy goats. See if they're interested. You don't deserve anything. Nobody that kills a kid deserves anything. That's my personal opinion. That's all they do. That's all they know is me. That's why people are saying, look, both of you just need to shut up. Gypsy, go raise your child with Ken and be quiet. Casey Anthony, go crawl back under a rock, disappear. Because Gypsy is the least of your worries. Same thing with Gypsy Rose. Casey Anthony is the least of your worries. Both of you need to grow up and get you some damn business. That's my commentary. Thank you so much for joining me. This commentary is pertaining to Dylan and Bethany. DNA on the Maddie's fingernails. How is this all going to work out come trial? Her being able to testify to either make or break Mr. Korberger as the perpetrator in that house. How do you feel about her and the girls texting while these friends were being brutally murdered? Will she be able to testify? Because I do believe Ann Taylor's going to give her the business. And I'm going to tell you something I noticed. Bill Ryder is so funny. When Annie Taylor was talking court, you could see over her shoulder Brian Korberger. He looks sick. He looks gauntlet. And I thought, he don't look well. He's probably scared shitless, worried about getting the death penalty, as he should. He does deserve it, but he looks sick. Korberger looks very sick. He looks thinner. What is going to happen with this case? Will they be able to find a jury that can be objective to the information? I just pray there's no shenanigans, because I don't want to hear this story again. When they go to trial the end of summer, I want this to be done and over with. Put an end to this nonsense. This is a wicked story. And as I told you all in my past lives this week, you don't know people. And I say this to everybody, not just young people. You better hope you know your friends. You better hope you know the company you keep, the people you hang around. You better hope they have your best interests at heart, because you do not want to fuck around and find out the hard way. And I said it and I meant every word of it. I am glad I'm not a young person. And I'm glad I have not been in a situation like this. But like these children, I'm grateful. Because I would not want to be in a house with those group of friends. Sorry, that's just how I feel. Because my feeling is, what if somebody could have been saved? And somebody's listening to me cry and whimper and moan because I've been brutally stabbed. And they can't decide if I'm the fireman, if somebody's the fireman or the butcher or the baker. That's heavy. But they got the fortitude to text and run downstairs and sleep in somebody else's room and play hopscotch for hours. And still don't call fucking 911 when they wake up. Another hour and a half passes. 11:58. You all decide to come look to see if we are okay. But we're not. We're dead. And then you run outside and you pass out. And then you got Pookie, Ray, Bubba playing with the phone with the dispatch. Just some shit that I never heard of before in my life. Just craziness. And I said to myself, these kids act just like fucking kids. As if there's no urgency for what they heard that night before. And then the next day is daylight savings time and you see dead people and you're still acting like they're not butchered and dead. That's the weirdest shit I've ever seen in my life. And I pray for their sakes, they never end up like those four. Because they better hope somebody don't cross their path and give them the business like what they gave them 4 kids. And they got to eventually look the person in the eye and be in that same predicament. Because karma's a bitch. And you don't ever know what situation you're going to be in to where you'll be looking in the eye of a killer like those kids. And you get to now live what your friends went through. So Bethany and Dylan need to wake up. You need some therapy, get it. You need some coping struggle skills, you better go get it. Because you're going to have to eventually navigate better than what you did on that fateful morning. Because if you're still walking around with the same type of fucking mindset, you are doomed. And I wouldn't trust you as a friend. I'm just keeping it real. People can say that I'm being harsh. I don't feel like I'm being harsh. I don't feel like I'm being harsh. Because one thing I've learned about life is that we tend to repeat our lives. Have you not noticed that? You meet the same people every day. Have you not looked at the people you hung around in the 20, 30 years and said to yourself, why do they remind me of this joker over here? Why does he remind me of my last boyfriend? Why does he remind me of my last husband, ex-wife? Okay, that's my point. Because we keep picking and attracting the same type of people. You can move 4 or 5 times, 10-year span, and you can sit back and say to yourself, I am meeting the same fucking people. Black, white, Mexican, Jew, they are the same. Talk the same, act the same, walk the same. They just have a different name. Choose your company wisely. Because you do not want to end up like these kids. You better know your company. You better know your friends. You better know that mate you're laying with. Because true crime, it can go either way. Stranger danger or somebody that knows you. And my heart, it hurts for these kids, the way they went out. And the fact that somebody else is in the house hearing everything and don't even think. And I'm sure somebody in that courtroom is going to ask those 2 dodo birds, did it ever cross your mind to dial 911? What are they going to say? I don't know. I was drunk. That ain't good enough. I didn't have to think. And this is where you fucked up. You called Bethany. See, they don't match up. You can't say, I thought this, I thought that, but you had the fortitude to call somebody else and say, hey, something strange going on up here. Hey, some guy walked by me. Hey, he had on some type of mask. If it was no big deal, you'd have never called Bethany. You'd have went right back to sleep and went on. Oh, I'm drunk. Fuck it. Go to sleep. You knew something wasn't right. That's why you kept getting up, slamming the door. He walked by you. What was the first thing you did, Dylan? You ran to call Bethany. Your ace coon boom. What'd she tell you? Run. Come on. Run. And you did. And you did. And I got a feeling you knew those kids were dead before daylight hit. I've been on top of this dirt 54 years. And the one thing I know is people. And I said it years ago. Everybody will be shocked if they ever found out that Dylan and Bethany knew those kids were dead before daylight and chose not to call 911. Because when she ran out of that room, Ethan and Xana were dead. How you didn't know that? Exactly, Bill. You've already alluded to that with this new information from the documents. This is why I keep telling people to keep commenting on under these videos like they know every fucking thing. They're giving you bits and pieces to the story already. What are you confused about? How are you going to walk into that open space without looking over to your left, which would be Xana's room, coming around that corner? You ain't looking over there while running down to see Bethany's room? They know, I don't want to hear it. You got noise upstairs. You got noise around the corner from you. So when you come out that bedroom, which sits in that little hallway, you got to step into an open living room. I remember the layout of the house. Xana's room was over here when you're coming out. You ain't gonna tell me you didn't look over there in that little hall and see somebody laying something. You did see. Yeah, they heard it happening. And that's a problem for me. That's why I asked earlier during this live, where was Ethan's body? In the living room? Head into the doorway? Head out of the doorway? Where was he? Because Dylan had to come out of her room and step into that living area. And there's no one to believe she didn't look over there while walking out of curiosity. So that means what? Brian shut the door after killing those kids. And she thought, oh, well, the door's closed. I don't know what's going on. And then run down to Bethany's room. I don't want to say that they knew those kids were dead in either room, but you're going to have to prove you ain't went looking around. When it drew quiet, nobody was answering their phone. What time did you exit out of your bedroom, Dylan, and go downstairs? And did you go straight downstairs? Because you had to pass through the living room. And Xana's room is off the living room. So I want to hear in court, Xana's door was shut. Xana's door was shut when police arrived. She said, wasn't he in the hallway going into the bedroom? I thought so. That's what I'm saying. She had to step out into that living space. There's no way she would have missed that big old man laying in that damn floor. If he was in that hall space, she had to have seen him. There's no way you're going to miss that big old body. No way, Jose. He's a big guy. And the fact that he was no match for Korberger is even scarier because Ethan was a big boy. You heard what happened in that house. And I think you didn't want to acknowledge that because you knew how it would look. It looks and it sounds bad. So you played this possum card. Well, I don't remember anything. I was drunk. Oh, I thought I saw a fireman. So this is where I believe you're lying. Yeah, I'm going to go out and say it. What was it about Korberger that he looked like a fucking fireman to you? Are you serious? So this is where I believe you're playing fucking games, and this is where I get real ignorant. Because we're talking about 4 dead kids who are supposed to be your friend. You and Bethany's friend. I'm telling you all, those two may never tell the truth, but we'll know the truth when they give us the layout of Ethan and Xana's body in court. And if either one of those children was visible by the door, that means this fucking girl knew they were there and walked right by them and went down to that room with Bethany, knowing she just stepped over a dead person or past a dead person lying in the floor. And that's deep as fuck. And the fact you're calling all these people standing outside about dead folks, but you can't even dial 911. Only somebody saying, oh, well, this girl passed out. So the operator's confused. So I guess at some point you let them know, oh, also there's some dead people in the house. They're hysterical because they found dead people. All this is weird and bizarre to me. This is why I keep trying to tell you all, you don't know people. Because right now, whoever's listening to this live stream, this is what they're thinking to themselves if they're woke. Damn, Queen. I'm hoping she ain't known those kids were dead and went and looked and carried her ass down there to that room and went to sleep with that girl, knowing those kids were dead. Because you aren't going to think in your mind, he's dead, that means Xana got to be dead, then why the other two would be alive? Checkmate. You couldn't put two and two together when he walked by? Something ain't right. They ain't answering the phone. And then you step out, you done seen somebody dead. You still don't do nothing, but you're going to believe them two alive upstairs. No, ma'am. Even if she thought it was a fireman, wouldn't you want to know why they are there? Why would a fireman have on a ski mask? Wouldn't a fireman have on the top red hat? Neon coat? Gear? How does that equate to all black jogging outfit? Van shoes. Make it make sense. Simple outerwear versus fireman hat and fireman attire. They don't even go together. Nothing is jiving in her story. So then you have to ask why. Because you're so drunk. Why are you making up this shit about a fireman? And why do we have 2 people alive and 4 dead? That is going to always resonate with many people. And I would assume 12 members of the jury are going to ask the same thing. If they lay out evidence that this man was stalking these kids, taking pictures, data, blah, 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 CCTV footage, eyewitness, whatever. Because, you know, they probably got some people that can put them on the street at various times. Why are you 2 alive? If he's been watching the house. Why would he walk by you and he just killed 2 people around the corner from you? Why would he want to leave you as a witness? Why did he come back at 9 o'clock in the morning? Why didn't he go back in? Because he didn't want to get caught going in and coming back out of there. Because he knew he left the sheath and he probably thought, I left 2 birds too. We'll continue this conversation. Thank you all so much for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend. Bloodline is my movie of the weekend. It is free on the Freevee app. Please check it out. It's very, very good. To me, it's a more updated version of Dexter. If you remember Dexter that played on Showtime many moons ago, Bloodline is about a school counselor who favors his students in a very macabre type of way. I'll let you check it out. It's very, very good. And come back and holler at me this weekend and tell me what you think about the movie. And we will chop it up at a later date. Don't know if I'll go live this weekend, but if I find some more juicy topics, I will bring you those said updates. But once again, I got an update pertaining to Gene Hackman. Information on my phone said something about he and the wife had been dead at least a week apart. So that's some spooky SHIT. So maybe later I'll come back and we'll talk about Gene Hackman and what the hell went on in that house. And also Kelly Bryant, the woman who abandoned 3 of her children in Pontiac, Michigan. Her bond has been reduced from $250 million cash to $50,000 cash bond. She'll be on house arrest if she can make that bond. I'm praying that no fool makes her bond for her, because she does not deserve to be free after what she did to those 3 children. And that's the latest, besides this Casey Anthony, Gypsy Rose battle. Those 2 need to go fly, 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 shoo, shoo, shoo. We're not interested. I'm not interested in nothing they're talking about. They're not talking about a damn thing. But those are the latest developments, Gene Hackman. We'll try to come back and we'll chop it up about Gene. And then I might come back and drop the link. Usually when I drop the link, nobody likes to come up to give their opinion pertaining to any of the cases. But you can reach me on IG, bigsexy.71. And if you see that I am live, you can just dial me up while I'm on the live stream and we can chop it up and people can hear your opinion on what you think. Because I really would like somebody to come up and give their opinion pertaining to Dylan and Bethany and what they think about this latest information, and also the DNA under Maddie's fingernails. And once again, imagine what we don't know. Because that's the whole thing about a trial. The state never gives his or her hand in the beginning. They give you what they have, which would be probable cause for the arrest, indictment, but they don't show you everything. And I know there's more. I know they have more on Kohlberger. And I'm sure it's the obvious things you can't deny and explain logically for somebody who didn't know these kids. What are you doing at their house? Why are you at their house? Why are you seen near the house, driving, walking? As I said, I won't doubt he's walked by. He's parked his car around up that hill, surveyed it. I won't doubt he's also been in the house. And that's even more creepy. And I'll put that up on a poll as well. Do you believe Brian Kohlberger has been in that house with the occupants inside or while they were gone? Very creepy. Because what you have to ask yourself is the obvious. How did he know he could get in from the side door? A regular person would not know that. And the fact that you would take a chance to break in a house and you don't know if they have CCTV footage on their house is a very risky gamble. I ask all the questions. The house facing their house, you know damn well it has a camera. So you didn't care about walking into this house, breaking in, and these people seeing you go in and come out. Stay woke, everybody. Same house that has audio of Xana whimpering 50 feet away from her window. Hell of a gamble. What will their camera show? Tall figure going in, tall figure coming out. And why was there no evidence in Kohlberger's car or his apartment? Did he line his car with a tarp? But he still had to be able to get in the car, take off gloves, stay woke, put them in the pocket, zip up pocket, zip up jacket you had on, put them in the pockets. But you still got to worry about your shoes having blood on them, putting them on the pedals. Blood can get in the grooves of the pedals. Be very hard to clean inside of a car. You have to scrub that manually. I pay attention to everything. Remembering the Nightingale murders, he left witnesses. I think he frequented the parties. Okay. Well, I don't know if I believe that. I don't see him doing that. If he did, he was low key. And as I said before earlier during the live, nobody's come forward to say they know Kohlberger from Idaho University, from the neighborhood. No friends of friends could even just say, yeah, I remember him in passing at a restaurant, on campus, whatever. You know what I'm saying? See, all that matters. But I got a feeling he's been over there at that house. He's walked by, he's got out, he's parked, he's blended in. I got a feeling somebody's going to tell that. And I'm hoping somebody. Because the one thing I've learned about sadism, and it should be obvious to most people, you can't continue to just drive by. You can't continue to just walk by. And you can't continue to just slobber over a cell phone. You got to touch. That's why we have 4 dead kids. He got tired of riding by. He got tired of walking by. He got tired of looking at them on the phone. It's my old adage of, how long are you going to stand outside the window and look at that dress inside of the store window? You're going to go in. You want to touch the fabric. You want to admire it. You want to try it on. This is the same thing with stalker obsession, voyeurism. You got to touch the merchandise. And that is exactly what he did. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BeganG129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream. Almost 3 hours. Wow. Thank you for your time. God bless you. Thank you, Bill Ryder. Thank you. Thank you. I'll talk to you guys a little bit later, okay? Have a good weekend. Bloodline, free on Freebie. My weekend suggestion. Watch it if you dare. If you're scaredy butt, you better get somebody to watch it with you because it's bad. I don't want to hear nothing from none of you telling me, Queen, why did you recommend this movie? It's gory. I know, but I know that some of you are my horror fans and you are going to love it. All I can say is if you're a scaredy cat, get somebody to watch it with you and get you a nice box of popcorn and a little bit of wine and watch it. It's good. It's worth the time. Talk to you guys later. Have a good weekend. You've been listening to the Violet Excel. Thanks.